Hello students, I am Dr. Krupa Rasne, Professor and Head ENC Department, Jain College of Engineering, Belgavi. Now continuing with this particular video, we have already seen the introduction where we introduced the subject power electronics to you. We have also seen the different applications of power electronics, the different areas and the specific applications in those areas. We have also seen in our second module power semiconductor devices, and we know that basically you have got diodes, thyristors, transistors, okay, power transistors. We have dealt with types of diodes and thyristors earlier, okay, and we know that diodes are general purpose fast diodes and Schottky diodes. In thyristors I exposed to you about at least 12 thyristors, and we have seen the symbols and various characteristics, steady state characteristics of these devices. We'll move on to power transistors, that is BJT, after which we will look into the MOSFET, power MOSFET, and then IGBTs, another device that we will see, and SIT is also another device we want to understand in transistors, and we'll also have a look into control characteristics of these power devices. So coming to transistors, we know a transistor is a three terminal device, and it can be of the following types: the power BJTs, the power metal oxide semiconductor FET, that is MOSFETs, then third insulated gate BJT, that is IGBT, and fourth static induction transistor. We have already seen SITH, which is static induction thyristor, and that falls in the thyristor family. So in transistors we will be looking into these four devices. I repeat: power BJT, power MOSFET, insulated gate BJT, and static induction thyristors. So the picture represents how a power transistor looks. It's a little bigger size than what you have been exposed to see in the low power device. Coming to the characteristics and symbol of the power devices, this is basically a NPN device. We have seen the arrow here. So three terminals, collector, emitter and base, as same as your low power device. This is okay with the same output characteristics. Here we are interested in output characteristics, okay, and output characteristics means output terminals. This is the output. Right hand side of the symbol represents your output, and the left hand side, that is the base emitter, represents the input. So if we are looking into the output characteristics, so it will be the graph between IC, the collector current, versus the collector emitter voltage VCE, okay, and the controlling element will be the IB. Because transistors are current operating device, for different current values we have got this particular graph. Now when you look at this basically graph, there are three regions which we see. One is the saturation region out here, blue color, and this is the cutoff region, and this is the in center we have got the active region. Most of the time that you have studied in your low power devices is to use the device in the active region as an amplifier. But in power electronics, this particular device, transistor, will not be used as an amplifier device, because in power electronics we are already dealing with amplified signals itself. So what do we use it? We use it as a switch. The same way that we are going to use a diode as a switch, or an SCR or thyristor as a switch, here also transistor will be used as a switch. So if I want to use this transistor as a switch, the two regions where it will be operating will be the saturation region and the cutoff region. We will not operate the transistor in the active region as far as power electronics is concerned. So what happens in the saturation region? You can see this is telling you that the current is quite high out here, and the voltage drop is very small. So this is your voltage axis and current axis. So there is a huge current, whereas voltage is less. So what it indicates? This voltage VC is very less, but the current is high. So the switch, now the switch terminals are C and E, and the current is going to flow from collector to emitter. So if it is in saturation region, it will behave like a switch on. Okay. Now this being an NPN transistor, when will this switch turn on? When I give a base current. What type of base current? The base current should be positive. When I say positive gate current, the gate has to enter this particular device for an NPN. If it is a PNP device, what will happen? This particular base current has to be negative, or the current has to be going outside. Then it is said to be in on state. So come back to NPN only. So if it is in saturation region here, the collector current is going to be high and the voltage drop between emitter and collector is going to be low, and it is similar to a switch closed. So saturation is a region tells you that the transistor is in on state. Whereas in cutoff region you can see, right, what you can see, the voltage is very high but the current is very small. So what it means, the collector current going to the emitter is very small. Okay, and it happens in the cutoff region. So when is it in cutoff region? When your base emitter is reverse biased. Okay, so we'll see into the different regions. Okay, and the base current is removed. So these are the two times when it is in off state. So during off state, no collector current flows, but the voltage across. No means, when I say no, of course there is a low current flowing, and that is the leakage current flowing because of the reverse bias of the junctions. We know a transistor has got two junctions, P and P, so NPN. Okay, so PN and NP, two junctions will be there. Okay, and that leakage current will always be there, which is very small in microamperes. Okay, so a power transistor can be turned on and off by relatively very small control signals. So operated in saturation and cutoff modes only. This is how a transistor works. No linear region. Linear region means active region. So no linear region operation is allowed due to excessive power loss. Obviously, if you again go and amplify an high signal, and also there is a power loss out in that region. So we should not avoid power transistors being used in that region. So in general, power transistors do not operate in latched mode. Another important thing about this is, see, when I give a base current, the transistor is going to turn on. This is an NPN. So I'm giving a base current and it turns on. If I remove the base current, what happens? It turns off. Unlike SCR. In SCR, what happens? When I give a gate current, the SCR is going to turn on. If I remove the gate current, it will continue to remain on, and hence I say SCR is latched. But that does not happen with transistor. So in general, power transistors do not operate in latched mode. It is always driven by base. If base is there, it is on. If base is not there, it is off. So continuing, the transistors are basically available for voltage up to 1000 VCE voltage, see, and current up to 400 amperes, and it has a switching frequency up to 5 kilohertz. So low on state voltage, that is around 2 to 3 volts. Also, it has a low current gain, less than 10, and need high base current to obtain reasonable collector current. So we avoid using it as an amplifier. And it's expensive and complex base drive circuit, hence not popular in new products. So in new products, new devices and new thyristors are built and have come out, and they are more reasonable and less complex and less costly to use. So this is basically the graph, the table that I wanted you also to generate at your end. So what you can do is you can make columns, write the names of the devices on the left hand side, the general type, and the types, different types in that particular, like diode will have three types, and what is the current and voltage rating, and also the switching time. See, note that all these devices we are using it as a switch. So how fast it turns on and how fast it turns off is very important criteria for us. And this is the on-state voltage drop that is going to happen. So if you see, ideally, I would prefer to have a large voltage and large current. as small switching time as possible, so it turns on and off very quickly, and the voltage drop across the device should be as less as possible. This is the ideal requirement, and based on the values here, I can define it as general purpose, high speed, or a Schottky. So similarly, the same thing with post transistors. So you should have a look. See, this is around 3000, 3500 for diodes. And if you see as SCR also is approximately 3000, except its current is slightly less than the diodes. But if you see triac carries around 1200 volts and 300 amperes. Okay, so and if you see thyristors, they are around again same value as your diodes or this forced trend of thyristors. Transistors see again 400 volts. So they are having basically a lesser rating than the thyristors or the diodes. Similarly, SIT also 1200. So compared to in power transistors, you can see SIT could be having a higher value than a typical power transistor. MOSFETs, again the voltage and current rating is much lesser than the normal power transistors. So in this way, I can compare the voltage rating between the different devices. Also coming to the speed, you can see the Schottky diode, if you see, has a switching speed of 0.23. Okay, so this is in microseconds, so very high speed switching. It's faster than your high speed thyristors, which takes about 2 to 5 microseconds. So in that sense also, you can see the on state voltage drop is only 0.58 for Schottky, whereas for the other diodes it is quite high, 3 volts, 1.6 and so forth. So similarly for triac, if you see 1.5 volts, 420 amperes. So I want you can look into these things and understand how these devices are categorized as high speed or general purpose, and all that. So go through this properly so that you understand and distinguish, and you can remember them. Diode has anode and cathode, and let's say the current flowing through it is ID. Sometimes they represent it as IA also. The voltage drop across these two terminals is VAK, and this is the characteristics. It operates in the first and third quadrant, and it is forward biased, then it is said to be switched on, and in the reverse bias it is said to be switched off till this point, and we do not operate it beyond this point because that is a breakover voltage. It will heat up and destroy the device. So this is basically off condition, and this is the on state. Okay, and it turns on immediately after I apply this voltage beyond 0.7 volts or even lesser than that sometimes. So this is diode for you. Coming to thyristor, if you see, it also has got like diode anode and cathode, but there is a third terminal gate. The arrow direction, the symbol itself tells you the current always flows unidirectional. That is, it will always flow from anode to cathode and never from cathode to anode. Same thing with thyristor. The current is always going to flow from anode to cathode. Only thing is that when I apply the forward voltage, it will not turn on till and until either the on state voltage exceeds the breakover voltage, or I can use a gate. So simply forward biasing and SCR will not turn it on unless I give a gate pulse. So once I give, so it will remain off till here, and once it turns on, it will behave like a diode, right? So its voltage is suddenly going to come down like here, and the current is going to boost. So this is the on state. So in forward first quadrant, there are two states of the SCR. Either it will be in the blocking state, that is till gate is applied and it is like a switch off, and once the gate is applied, it will go into the on state like a diode, and hence there are two states in the first quadrant. And it's switched off in the reverse, it behaves exactly like your diode, and it remains off if I apply any reverse voltage between anode and cathode, and that time even if I give gate, it will not turn on. Next is GTO, and GTO is very similar to SCR. Here you can see, except that there are two gate currents. The gate current normally given to SCR is, if I want to turn it on, I give a positive gate current. Positive gate current means the current enters the device. And if I want to turn it off, here what happens is, if I give a gate current, it will turn on. Once it turns on in this state, if I remove the gate current, it will continue to remain on. Okay, because it is already forward bias. So this acts like a trigger, but once it triggers, it loses its control. Same thing will happen here, but here what happens is, if I want to turn it off, it is possible to turn off the device by giving a negative gate current. That means a current can be going in the reverse direction as turn on. So this is how your GTO is. So it also, see, if you see, all the SCRs will behave similarly characteristics wise. Okay, so it will have an on state in the first quadrant and it will have an off state in the third quadrant. Now this is your triac. Triac is very similar to SCR, but the only difference is it is bidirectional. What do you mean by bidirectional? It is possible to trigger the SCR both in the first quadrant and the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, I am applying a reverse voltage between A and B, and the current can flow in the reverse direction. Okay, so it is possible, it will break down and it will turn on. So the basic idea is triac is a bidirectional. So this is one device which is going to carry current in both the direction, whereas all these devices are carrying current in one direction, that is from anode to cathode. Okay, that you don't use the gate current to turn it on, but the light is made incident on this SCR and it turns on. So if you see the first quadrant, it is similar to SCR, except how you apply the gate trigger, it is through light, and hence the name LASCR. So these are basically your BJTs. This is your NPN. The arrow is shown outside, and this is your PNP. So if I want to turn on, the characteristics of both are same. This is the output characteristics, IC versus VCE, and it is a current operating device. Hence I draw these characteristics for different base currents. Now this is your PNP and this is NPN. So for NPN, the current, base current, has to go inside to turn on the device. That means I give a positive base current. And for PNP, if I want to turn on this device, I have to give a negative gate current. Note that arrow is at the, for both the arrow is on the emitter. If it is arrow is outside, it is NPN. If the arrow is inside, it is PNP. And in this case, the current will flow from collector to emitter. In this case, the current will flow from emitter to collector. And okay, so but both are unidirectional carrying current. Either it will carry like this or this way, depending upon NPN or PNP. But remember one thing, both are going to be used as a switch only. You can use this or you can use this, anyone, depending on how you are going to connect this transistor to your load that you are going to switch on and off. This is your MOSFET. I hope you remember the symbol. Okay, so there is a drain, there is a source, and this is the substrate that is connected, and this is the gate. And because we say N channel, why? Because when I apply a voltage here, note here I am applying current is important to me, and there is a direct connection between the base emitter collector, whereas in MOSFET you can see there is an isolation like a capacitor out here, and hence it cannot be current driven and it is voltage driven device. Hence I apply a voltage between the gate and source. So since we have different configurations, see, this is your common emitter configuration where base emitter acts as input and collector emitter acts as the output. Similarly here, your gate source acts as the input. And if I apply a voltage, that's why if you see in the graph, it is an output characteristics, it is ID versus VDS, and what these graphs, different graphs are drawn, lines are drawn basically for different voltages being applied between the gate and source. So for different VGS, you can see voltage here, whereas here you are going to see the current. So for P channel, the arrow will be outside, characteristics will be very similar, but here you understand that current will always flow from drain to source, and here also drain to source, unless the current flowing from opposite direction in the NPN and PNP. Why is that happening is basically the flow basically depends upon the voltage that we are applying, bias voltage that we are applying at the between the drain and source. And there will be a virtual channel that will be formed by the between the drain, because as it is they are not connected, but once I apply a gate source, a virtual channel, in this case N channel will be formed, and then the current will flow through that channel to the source. In P channel MOSFET, I apply a voltage here which will generate a P channel out here, and the current will flow through the channel through this once I apply a VDD voltage here. Okay, so this is your symbols and the characteristics of the devices. Now coming to power MOSFET, little more we will talk about it. These are commonly used in automotive electronics, particularly in switching devices in electronic control units and as power converters in modern electric vehicles. The insulated gate bipolar transistor. Now there's one more device after MOSFET, that is IGBT. See, a transistor is a current driven device. Power MOSFET is a voltage driven device. Both have got their advantages and both have got their disadvantages. We'll be looking at it more elaborately in the forthcoming videos. And what is IGBT is it is in between the transistor and MOSFET. Means what it does is it takes the good quality of transistors and it also takes the good quality of MOSFET, and it is a new device that is born IGBT. It has been found that it is more popular than transistor and MOSFET in many applications. So this is the insulated gate bipolar transistor, that is IGBT. So if you look at the symbol itself, that itself tells you basically a lot of things about the device. So if you see on the left hand side, there is an isolation here between the gate, which tells you like it behaves like a MOSFET at the input. Whereas if you see here, you have collector and emitter like a transistor. So the right hand side or the output side of the device behaves like a transistor. So it is like a combination of MOSFET here and the transistor out here. The characteristics is drawn between the output current, which in this case is the collector current, versus VCE, that is the output voltage between the collector and emitter. And note that the different these lines that are drawn are for different values of VGE. Okay, not VGS but VGE. So this in the graph you should make these different representations properly to get full marks. If you write here VGS, then you won't be getting marks for it. So similarly, this will be the active region, this is the saturation region and cutoff region. We do not use them in the active region. You are going to use it as a switch on in the saturation and switch off in the cutoff. So IGBT has a very low value of on-state resistance Rn, R on than a MOSFET. So this is the advantage it takes from the MOSFET. This implies that the voltage drop I squared R across the bipolar for a particular switching operation is very less. So its on-state voltage drop will be very less. The forward blocking action of the IGBT is similar to that of the MOSFET. Okay. So it's like a voltage driven device again, okay, unlike the transistor. Now this is a chart that I have put it out for you, and it literally tells you how to look at these devices from different application point of view. Now if you see on this graph x-axis, x-axis, I am drawing the power capacity, means what are its power values, to what value it can be used. And on the this axis, y-axis, I have got the operation frequency, which is in hertz. So the power capacity is going from 10 to 100 million power watts VA, and this is from 10 to 1 megahertz. So if you see here, and the dotted lines is basically telling you that there is still scope for expansion. Okay, so we have got basically where are these? You can see that this is a triac placed here, and what it tells you, it is basically at the lower end of the power line, and it is also at the lower end of the frequency side. Means triacs are basically used for low power and low frequency applications. Okay, and some of the applications could be like washing machine. Okay, and next is thyristor. On top of the triac is also a thyristor, but it is different in the sense it's bidirectional. So thyristors are being placed here, and it has a mid-range value to high-range value. Okay, and thyristor, it generally means SCR and other things other than GTO. Now, so again, this is as far as frequency is concerned, again it is coming towards the low frequency side, but it is from mid-range power to high-range power, and its application could be HVDC example. Now this is your GTO. GTO is gate turn off, means it has the capacity to turn on and turn off. So what it says, it is having higher frequency than your normal thyristor, and its power range is limited to this particular band, which this has a bigger range than this. So this is how I can compare with each other. Next is, you see your transistor. Transistor is sitting out here, and it tells you that transistors can be basically used at higher frequencies than these thyristors, and as well as even the GTO. See, your MOSFET is out here, MOSFET here, and transistor applications are air conditions, okay, refrigerators, televisions, etc. This is your MOSFET that is being used here. So MOSFETs are basically used for much higher frequency. This is your discrete MOSFET. So higher frequency but at the lower power, okay, that way. And here you have got IGBT. So IGBT is basically sitting between the transistor and MOSFET. So I told you it uses the advantages of transistor and MOSFET. So it works at a higher frequency than transistor but lower frequency as compared to MOSFET, and it has a better power rating as compared to transistor or MOSFET. So these are the different applications are many for GTO is also very popular. So it is used for electric cars as well as UPS as well as for motors. And motors we can use even your transistors as well as the IGBTs. And robots and welding machines, they are being used by IGBT. Okay, also transistor and also the MOSFETs. Okay, then cars MOSFET we use, discrete MOSFET, and this is the switching SMPS that we use. Normally you are very familiar with that, or VCR tape recorder. They are basically used at higher frequencies, and MOSFET are the ones that are being used. So this is how we can in general look at the devices of power electronics, look at where these particular devices are sitting with respect to the power axis and the frequency axis, so that it becomes difficult for you, easy for you to compare it with each other and remember things, and where they are going to use. So it will help you, this chart, that's why I put it out here. So we have seen the introduction, we have seen the applications of power electronics, power semiconductor devices. Today we are going to look at the control characteristics of power devices and types of electronic circuits. I will just introduce you to you today. So power transistors, BJTs, characteristics, MOSFET, IGBT, and now coming to your control characteristics of power devices. So what do you mean by control characteristics? See, till now I showed you so many characteristics beside the symbol. What are those characteristics? Those are called as the VI characteristics or output characteristics, and they are basically used at the output side between the output current and output voltage. It could be collector emitter, it could be drain, it could be anode current of SCR, whatever. Then what is this control characteristics? Control is basically who is controlling these devices. For an SCR, it is the gate which is controlling. For a transistor, it is the base which is controlling. For MOSFET, it is the gate which is controlling, right? So diode, there is no control. So based on the control part, that is the input part, what are the device? So this is basically like your input characteristics, you can say. So depending on power requirement rating, speed and control circuits of different devices, we can select the particular device as I told you. The required output is obtained by varying the conduction time of the signals applied at the gate of these switching devices. So if the whatever is the load condition requirement, if the load requires DC or it requires AC, I should be able to control and get the required output using these devices, okay, as a controlling element. So if I look at all these power devices, basically I am going to use them like a switch. So if I look at a switch, your power SCR is going to look like a switch. This is a symbol for a mechanical switch or any switch. But these devices are now a electronic switch. Okay, and they are semiconductor devices, and they are simply moved the operation from one state to another state. So when this switch is on, the current is going to flow from anode to cathode, or cathode gets connected to anode, and this simply like behaves like a single wire connected, which has a zero resistance. Because of that, when the switch is on, the voltage drop across the switch has to be ideally zero. Okay, and when it is controlled by whom? By the gate. So this is basically an electronic switch that we have drawn, and if I compare it with the mechanical switch, I have to on and off this physically. Hmm? Unlike here, I am going to on and off it with a pulse being given to gate. I don't have to use my physical strength to turn it on and off. So this is the advantage of electronic switch. So what are the characteristics of ideal controllable switch? So how do I want it to actually be? I don't want any power loss when it is on. What do you mean by power loss? See, normally I connect an input at A and output is at K. And this switch is basically controlling the input is connected to the output or not. If it is on, it is connected. If it is off, A is not connected to K. And in between, I have to see that when this is on, there should be no voltage drop across it. Means what? It should not use any voltage of input. All this input voltage has to come at the output. So if that is possible, only if the resistance is zero. So we don't want any power to be consumed by the switch, so that whatever is at the input will come 100% at the output, and if there is a drop here, that will consider as a loss. Okay, so no power loss. This switch, if you see, is always will be in series with the input. So series means this voltage drop will get minused from the source at the output. So if there is a drop, it has to be a power loss, because it's a useless drop. I'm not going to use that power at the load. So no power loss when on, as well as when it is off also. What do you mean by power loss when it is off? See, when this switch turn on in mechanical, absolutely there is no physical connection between these two points. But because this switch is a semiconductor device and made up of PNPN junctions, there will definitely be some leakage current that is flowing. So even if I say that this switch is off in your electronic switch, actually there will be the leakage current, which is very small, microamperes, that will still be flowing here, and that will contribute to power loss. Okay, so ideally I want that current to be zero, and I say that because I'm talking about ideal conditions, I will say there should be no current flowing when this between this point and this point, or between anode and cathode, when the switch is off. No power loss during turning on and off. Now remember, this switch is basically when it is off, it is in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, the voltage across the device will be very high, right? And the current will be zero. Okay, that is off state. Now when you want to turn this switch to on state, what will happen? You have to move the device to first quadrant, and in first quadrant what will happen? The switch should turn on, and then the voltage drop will be opposite. It will be very less, right? And the current will be very high. So you can see the switch is undergoing a big change across it. Earlier the voltage was very high, and now suddenly it has to become very low. So the fall of voltage from high voltage to low voltage when it is turning off to turn on. Okay. At the same time, the rise in current when it is turning from off state to on state is also very high. That is, earlier there was no current flowing, but now there is a huge current flowing. So if you imagine, the voltage is coming down across the switch, whereas the current is rising, and hence during the period of turn on or turn off, there is a high voltage and a high current that is changing through. Okay, so remember one thing, the maximum power loss happens during the transition. That is when it is switching from on state to off state or off state to on state. The power is very less consumed during its stable state. Which are the stable state? The either the off state or the on state. Okay, so when it is stable, the power consumed is less. So when is the power consumed? It is during the turning on or off of the device that power is consumed. So here what we are saying, ideally I don't want that power to loss. So ideally I no power loss when it is on, no power loss when it is off, and also when it is switching, that is when it is turning from off to on or on to off, there should be no power. This is very idealistic. Okay, and little power turned to it to turn it on and off. So means if I want to apply this gate, I should use very less gate current. See, in GTO, when I want to turn it off, I have to give a lot of current here to turn it off. So it's a very complex process. So turning off and turning on should be simple, and there should be less voltage being used or less current being used to turn on or off the device. Adequate voltage and current rating. Obviously, the current that will flow to the load should be as per the load requirement. So the load is normally connected to your output, that is your cathode. So if it demands 10 amperes, the device should be able to carry 10 amperes. If it is only able to carry 5 amperes, then that is not an appropriate device to be used with a load. So adequate voltage and current rating. Next is low turn on and turn off times. When I'm changing it over from on to off or off to on, it has to be very quick. Otherwise, if it takes long time to turn on, long time to turn off, and I'm using it in an electric car, like for braking system, if I want to off the engine or turn it off, before I go and dash whatever is in front, it should turn off. So these are the things that are ideally required, but of course it is practically there are some issues. We'll see to it. So we have seen basically the ideal characteristics. Now this is what we are going to see, that is the desired characteristics of a controllable switches. So what is desirable? Okay, I'm not getting the ideal, but at least I expect some good quality of an electronic switch. So what are the ideal? A small leakage current in the off state. So I told you in the off state no current should flow, but here there is going to be a flow of current, and let that current be as less as possible, and hence I say small leakage current in the off state. Small on state voltage drop. What does it mean, on state voltage drop? When the switch is on, the voltage across it is in the first quadrant, and the voltage across it is very small. So let it be as less as possible, because that is coming in series with the input source, and if there is a more voltage across it, it contributes to power loss. Short turn on and turn off. Let the switch turn on and off as fast as possible. Then large forward and reverse voltage blocking capability. See, if I want to turn off the device, high, it will be in the third quadrant, and the device is going to bear a heavy reverse voltage across it. A large reverse voltage will come across it in the third quadrant, and this basically the reverse voltage is because of whatever is the external voltage that is connected to it. So if the input is having negative voltage, okay, and it is not able to withstand that negative voltage, then we cannot use that device. So we prefer to have a device which is able to withstand, be in the blocking state for a large reverse voltage. High on state current rating. Same thing, it should be able to carry high current, as much high current as possible as required by the load. positive temperature coefficient of on-state resistance. Positive temperature means as the current increases, the temperature will also increase, right? And we should appropriately, uh, if it is not able to withstand that kind of temperature, we have to provide heat sinks or certain mechanisms to remove the heat. So we should have as less as possible. Small control power required to switch the device. So same thing, what power I give to the gate, it should be as less. If I'm operating an 100 volt 10 amperes of a switch, then the gate which I'm used to control that switch should work on 1 volt itself. Okay, so that is basically low power. The control will always be at a very less power compared to the load power, that is the current that is flowing between anode and cathode. So its capability to withstand rated voltage and rated current simultaneously while switching. Large dV by dt and di by dt rating. This is another term you will be learning. dV by dt is nothing but rate of change of voltage with respect to time. So when the switch is turning on or turning off, you can see the rate of change of voltage is happening. Means voltage is going to go from your high voltage to low voltage if I am turning the switch from off to on. So there is a change of voltage with respect to time. So it with how fast that voltage changes, that is the dV by dt, and at the same time the current is how fast the current is changing, that is di by dt. So if that, it's a stress, right? So if whether it is able to withstand that, otherwise the device will damage. Next is power semiconductor classifications. So we have uncontrolled turn on and turn off. Example, diode. Why is diode uncontrolled? Because once I apply forward voltage, it turns on. There is no gate or there is no base for it to turn on or even turn off. I remove the forward bias, it turns off. So the turn on and turn off is uncontrolled. So which device has uncontrolled turn on and turn off? It is the diode. Next is your controlled turn on. Okay, here controlled turn on and uncontrolled turn off. So I can control SCR, I can control its turn on by giving the gate current. But once I give the gate current and it turns on, if I remove the gate current, it will continue to turn on, remain on. Means it will not go off. So turning off is uncontrolled. Okay, only turn on I can control in SCR, and hence controlled turn on and uncontrolled turn off, the typical device is SCR. Next is controlled. Both turn on and turn off is controlled. Which are those devices? One is BJT. Means if I give the base, it turns on. If I remove the base, it turns off. So both turning on and off is in my hands, right? Similarly for MOSFET, and GTO has got two gates, one to turn on and turn off. So which is the device which can be controlled turn on as well as turn off? So these are the three devices: BJT, MOSFET and GTO. Next is continuous gate signal requirement. Means if I want the device to keep it on, I have to give the base or the gate current. Otherwise it will turn off. So which are the devices? BJT and MOSFET. Like SCR, I can remove the gate, it will still be in on state. GTO, I can remove the gate, it will be in on state. Okay. Next is pulse gate requirement. So see, if you look at base, I have to give a continuous base current. I cannot keep it on for some time and off for some time. But for SCR, since it loses its control after turning on, I can simply give a pulse. What is a pulse? A electrical signal which will remain high for some time and then it goes low. So let it remain high till the SCR turns on and then let it go low. The advantage would be you are saving on the power, because after that, even if the gate is there current, it is useless, it has no use. So which are the devices which will work for pulse gate requirement? SCR and GTO. Next is bipolar voltage withstanding capability. See, SCR is the one Even diode can come here. SCR is the one which is able to withstand both. Diode cannot come here because it cannot withstand the forward voltage. It will immediately turn on. SCR can withstand because it has still it gate is given. It is able to withstand in the first quadrant as well as withstand the voltage in the second quadrant. So both positive as well as negative voltage can be withstood by SCR. Next is unipolar voltage withstanding capability, and that is BJT, MOSFET and GTO. What is unipolar? See, BJT I am giving VCC as the bias voltage between the collector and emitter. Similarly, that is unipolar, right? Whereas MOSFET also I am giving VDD. I am not giving AC. I am giving only positive or negative. For GTO, I also am going to give unipolar. Okay, so they can withstand this unipolar capability. Next is bidirectional current capability. These are the two devices, TRIAC and RCT. TRIAC I told you is something like a two SCRs which are anti-parallel, and RCT is the reverse conducting thyristor where the thyristor has got a reverse diode connected across it, because of which it becomes bidirectional. Means the thyristor will carry one polarity of the current, and the anti-parallel diode will carry the reverse current through it. So in that sense, they are able to carry both the polarity of the current. So unidirectional current capability. Which are the devices? If you see right from diode also carries unidirectional. All the arrows, single arrow kind of symbols that we have, SCR, GTO, even BJT carries unidirectional only, whether it is NPN or PNP, and then MOSFET, okay, and of course your diode is there. So these are basically what? These are the categorized power devices which are categorized based on how the control of the signals applied at the gate or base, based on that they are categorized. So if you look at the control characteristics here, coming to this particular thing, if you see this is a rectifier, a half wave rectifier, but I'm using an SCR. So I'm applying a positive and negative voltage at the input, which I will call it as Vs. So you can see this Vs. So it's a DC voltage which is being applied. So, and what is this? This is the gate voltage that I'll be applying, and you'll see that this is a pulse that will be applied. When is the pulse applied? Pulse is applied at 0, and after some time it is being applied. And also here if you see, I'm going to apply a negative gate pulse. So what is the reaction? The reaction of the output, this is the output graph that we see here. So what it says is, when I apply a positive voltage, the SCR will be forward biased. At the same time, it also gets the gate pulse at 0 only. So the minute it gets the gate pulse, since it is getting at 0, the input will be connected to the output, and output will become Vs instantly. Okay, so even once it becomes on, even if I give once more a gate pulse here, it has no effect on the output because the gate loses the control. This gate will lose the control over this thyristor once it turns on at t equal to 0. So if I give any number of times after that, it will not have any effect on the SCR or this switch. Even if I give a negative voltage, negative gate current to this SCR, it will still remain on only, and output will be connected to the input. What is input? Vs. So what is output? Output also will be Vs. Okay. Now if I look at this particular device, this is SITH. Okay. It is also what is this? Static induction thyristor, and this is your GTO. So for GTO, you can turn it on with a positive current, and you can turn it off with negative current. So here I also was giving negative current, but since there was a single thyristor, it doesn't have any effect. So here what happens, whether it is SITH or GTO or even MCT for that matter, if I give positive gate current when it is forward biased, okay, it will turn on. So this switch, these three devices are drawn in parallel, so any one will be used. So for all the three, it will have the same graph. So once I give the gate current, it is going to conduct. Conduct means output will be same as input. Till where? Till I give the negative current. Once I give negative current to this, it will turn off. Turn off means the switch will open and output will no longer be connected to input and output will become 0. So at T1 I am giving negative, so output becomes 0. So this is the control characteristics of your which all devices. This is SCR, this is SITS, GTO and MCT. So you should draw this particular diagram in the exam if they ask you to draw the control characteristics. If they ask you to draw the VI characteristics, you should draw that first quadrant and third quadrant, that characteristics. This is the control characteristics. Further, this is your transistor. Now look at the transistor is also acting like a switch between the source and the load. And what you see, again I am applying supply VC plus minus DC voltage, and this is the base control. So base I am giving like that. So as long as the base is there, the switch act like an on state and output will be same as input. So as long as this base is there, this is the output graph V0. Output will be same as input as long as the base voltage is applied, okay, till T1. After that what has happened? Base is removed. Base is removed, so the switch will become off. Once it becomes off, output will be 0. So from T1 to T, output will be 0. Again here I am applying a base. So output again it will turn on and output will connect to the input. So output will be same as Vs. So this is your transistor which acts like a switch. Next is your MOSFET and IGBT, right? They are very similar. So I am applying your VDD here plus minus, okay, and this is the load. So same thing, as long as VGS is there, that is voltage applied between the gate and source is available, the load voltage, that is V0, will be same as input because this acts like a switch on. This point will be connected to D, will be connected to S. So D is connected to Vs. So Vs becomes equal to V0, same as V0. So as long as VGS is there, I will get V0 till T1. If I remove this voltage, then the MOSFET will become off. This switch becomes off and voltage across the load resistance will become 0. Again here I am applying VGS, so output will be there. So this is the control characteristics that you need to understand and refer to in the question. Please understand the question in the exam so that you understand which question answer to write for which question. So I thank you again for your patient listening, and if you have any questions you can ask me personally also, okay, and on the WhatsApp that we have created. Thank you so much.